And we are back. Black and a Half, episode number 227.
227.
I'm Silas Lindenstein.
I'm Samantha Rund.
227. Did you ever watch that TV show?
No. There was one?
No?
227. No wonder why I said it. Sounds familiar.
It's a black TV show. You kind of need to see that. You might get otherwise you'll get revoked, I believe.
I feel like I've probably already been revoked enough that I'm like revoked pardon.
Well, pardons are in the air, so might as well. Let's pardon everybody. Just everyone gets their black cards back. Everybody gets your insurrection cards back. Anything. The world is Monopoly. Just like expect your get out of jail free cards in the mail with your with your card to re-register as a Republican.
I mean, okay, so because I'm almost like I'm going to be real with you. I'm kind of afraid to say anything that's not like that. I'm almost afraid to talk about it, except for when I'm not being recorded and when I know that the devices are turned off. It's almost a little bit like Tom Cruise in what was that Grisham novel when he was
The Firm.
Yeah, and you turn the music way up, and then what am I going to say? It's not like I don't have a plan to do anything except for learn how to make sourdough starter. But like, still, I'm like getting a little paranoid, and that's
the survival. That's right? Survival. Just
the sourdough starter. I mean, home.
Yeah, that's all you really need. I think and I think proof of that is during the pandemic, the height of the pandemic, everyone was learning how to bake bread. So it's an instinctual thing. There's danger. Let's learn how to bake.
And I've been bake or get baked. And because I don't get baked, I want to do the baking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bake. That should be a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Get baked or get baking. Don't sit in the middle.
We just have a black and a half that could be our first merch. Get baked, black and a half. It might suggest to people we are a different kind of podcast. But yeah, that's true. But it's clearly we're just not getting baked. I'm not giving.
I would be curious how many people would tune in assuming we are smoking weed every episode, and how many people think it's a cooking show.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, that's a good point.
But either way, both of the, what both of those have in common though, Samantha? They're both communities. The baking,
like, there's lots of bees in it.
They're both communities, which is what we talk about in this episode. We talk about heavily into communities. We talked more about improv than I ever expected to, but it's because I'm reading a book.
And we yes-anded that situation because it needed to happen.
Yes. And we dove into it a lot.
That's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Anyway, we talk a little bit about improv. We talk about communities. Yes.
I'm going off topic again. But it's on topic, but off topic. I'm like,
okay.
Brought up yes and to like if people are feeling, stress or fear and whatnot, and you're not getting baked or doing baking. But at any rate, just like yes anding to make space for like, yes, I'm feeling afraid. And I'm also going to have fun talking with my friend right now. Or I'm also going to build community. I'm also going to do these other things. Like, don't just let the anxiousness or whatever consume you. Or if you're partying because you're pardoned, maybe like yes and having empathy for other people. There's room for that.
And if you're pardoned, you should definitely be baking bread and giving it out to people. But I will not try it because I don't trust you. Anyway, it was a fun discussion, and I think people will have fun. And we are building our own little community here.
Yeah.
Our own little black and a half community full of blacks, full of halves.
That's right.
And bakers.
Bakers dozens.
And the baked.
Yeah.
And here I am. Listen, like and subscribe. Stay tuned. And we'll be back next week. We're on a roll, Samantha.
Yeah.
I know we're gonna do it.
Yeah,
okay?
we're on a roll. And share your comments, please. I want to hear from you. I want to hear what you like. Please, just not what you didn't like, unless if it's like, I didn't like that it was too short. I need more.
If anyone ever said it's too short, I would be so shocked. They're like,
sorry, when you said that, my mind couldn't help going because you
yes end it, and then that's
dirty.
Perfect.
That's what happened.
Yeah, well,
yeah. Usually, if a guy says, that's not the conversations we have, but just mine couldn't help going to the jokes.
To the jokes. So here I am staying upbeat and telling you to open your hearts, open your ear holes, and listen to episode number 227. Community.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's purple. That's why I'm saying my color's off.
Oh.
I gotta fix this. I'm trying to look at everything. You know, it's like, oh, it's weird. I think it's this camera. Those of you watching right now, I think my camera's off. I'm gonna get my expensive camera out. I'm starting to realize how old my camera is now, because I've had this camera like doing comedy. So it's probably like a 10-year-old camera.
Hey, nice way to use something and not switch up for the newer model all the time, you know?
But you know what? Did you know how long, just guess off the top of your head, how long do you think a TV is supposed to last?
Well, supposed to.
Because I just got a TV for the studio.
Yeah.
Which makes it officially the last piece I needed in here.
Exciting. Uh-huh.
Besides a guest chair, but that's besides the point. So I've been looking at TVs. Mm-hmm. How long do you think like a flat screen LCD TV that you get they expect it to last?
Well, everything newer lasts. It doesn't last as long because they're building in obsolescence. So the older stuff would last longer. Newer flat screen TV. And when you say last, do you mean just like work that you can play something, or you're expecting the colors to be like amazing, or just beautiful?
Okay, so I'm not sure on this. I'm not sure, but when I looked up the average lifetime of a TV now, I'm not sure if they mean it like it cracks and explodes, or that it's like the quality just is not good enough that you probably just want a new TV.
And also by whose standards too.
Huh?
And also by whose standards too.
I think so, because I've been, like I've had TVs where I think a lot of people have TVs past how long they're expected to last. And I think that's, like the best buy date of a food where it's fresh, it still tastes good. You can eat food well past expiration dates. Don't quote me on that.
I was like, not me.
Right. Well, people, they make some people nervous.
A lot of times people can. Yeah,
but it's not as fresh. And I think that's why when you go look at a new TV, you're like, whoa, this is amazing.
Right.
And slowly, as you're watching, it will start degrading over time, right? Again and again.
Yeah.
So when they think you should buy a new TV based on degradation, I think, how long do you think that is?
I mean, nowadays, I'm going to say it's going to be 3 years.
Oh, you're optimistic. That you're pessimistic. I like that. They say 6 to 7 years.
Oh, yeah. I was like, nowadays, because they want you to buy everything so much. But by my standards, I would keep it way longer, Well,
also, because I do think there is a thing of lifespan of like how much you actually use it. If you don't turn your TV, like my TV's on
pause for a really long time. Isn't that bad for it too?
And depending on the type of screen you have, a lot of them are built in now to start to turn off or something if it's not active. So you don't do that.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of them are more sensitive to it than others. And, but I think I watch TV. The TV is on more, I think, than it's a typical household because one, I watch a lot. And it's also my friends sometimes, not the show. It's my company with me, my journey with all these friend TV shows of mine.
I think that's so
sad
and true. It's such like a sign of the times, because I completely I never wanted to be a YouTube personality or had any interest in it. But after the pandemic and becoming a mom and just like general people I contact for this phase of life, it's like less in person. I totally have that where I'm like, oh, I feel like I'd be friends with that YouTube mom.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch how she declutters her home. This is relaxing. Like
the worst is when you think you're friends.
Anyway.
You think you're friends with them. Sometimes you think you're friends with them and you forget that you don't actually know them.
Oh my gosh. I think I told the story on the podcast before, like years ago, but hey, listeners, if any of you remember, give a shout out and I'll say thank you for following us that much. You're awesome. The most ridiculous thing, I did that to a celebrity when I was living in LA, where I walked up to them as if I knew them. It was absurd. It was completely absurd.
How did they respond? Did they try to figure out, oh crap, do I know them?
They responded perfectly. Did it? Okay. Because most of the time I recognize you? I don't know the person. I go talk to them like I talk to them like hey, oh wow, I'm a fan of your work, or like a normal person would approach a famous person.
Yeah.
It was Maria Bamford. I had just seen her.
Okay.
I'd seen her performing at a comedy club, and I was working at that comedy club. So I don't know if I actually interacted with her or not, but because she was working at my place of work at the time, it felt like there was like more of a connection than there was. And then I was working as a supervisor at this marketplace / restaurant that was lovely. And when she came, she was like approaching the front and she was going to need help. And I'm used to being in this like mode of welcome to our place and have a nice glass of, just being overly friendly.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh man, I miss that, but not having to do that job. But you know what I mean? Just like people, I miss all those people. Anyway, and like I kind of thought I recognized her because I saw her clogs, and you don't see that much in LA, at least at that time you didn't. And so like I like approached her and I got pretty close enough to her, and I was like, Maria? And she just was very confused, like trying to figure out like where she knew me from and why she couldn't remember my name. And like I was this friend of hers from college or something. I don't know. It was a perfect response of hers. And then I realized what I did. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. I saw you performing the other night. And now you're here. Like, how can I help you? So good to see you. Sorry about that weirdness.
That's hilarious. I love that. If I've had, sometimes people, I think my celebrity is limited to Comic-Con sometimes, people who've attended the show. And so sometimes the Real Nerds of Comedy show that I put on each year, I'll have people talk to me that will come every year, start talking to me like I remember them. And like, and it feels, that's definitely an awkward.
That happened that time that I came to Comic-Con and saw you, and you were that was the look on your face. You were like, do I know you? And I'm like, it's Samantha.
Like, you've been to Comic-Con?
No.
Okay.
Not
like
yet.
What? How do I not remember this?
No. No.
My God. But that is a little news. I haven't dropped it yet.
Oh.
I forgot to. I was going to send out a thing last week, actually. That I'm for the 9th year in a row. I'll be performing at Emerald City Comic-Con for the Real Nerds of Comedy show that I put on there.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
It is exciting.
9 years. That's my first marriage was 11 years. So I've almost been doing Comic-Con as long as my first marriage.
It's funny you should say that, because when you said 9 years, I was thinking, what is the anniversary gift for your 9-year anniversary at Comic-Con? Like, what would be the version of that?
Okay. I got to look this up now. What is the 9-year anniversary gift? And then I'm going to, you know what I'll do? I'll go around trying to get people to give me something. 9-year anniversary gift. Professor Google. I'm going to check with there. Let's see. It's not what wood?
That's hilarious.
No.
I was like, is it a cutting board, a wooden cutting board?
This is saying just consider traditional and modern. Okay, there's two traditional. Okay, I can look at the Knot. The Knot is a site that people use for weddings a lot.
Okay.
So it has all this wedding.
I thought it was just going to be all the things that are not it, which I was like, oh, yeah, that would be a huge list.
Okay, so traditional is willow or pottery. Modern is leather.
Willow pottery?
It says willow pottery, which is interesting. Okay, 9 years there. Oh, because willow is 9 now.
That's amazing.
That's funny. Then the gemstone that you give at this time is lapis lazuli.
Lapis lazuli.
I thought that was a Harry Potter character at first. I'm like, what is that?
It sounds like it would be. It could be, or.
Well, do you know what it is?
Yeah.
What color is it?
It's like a blue stone that has like kind of like a rock stone, and it often has like little speckles of like gold or little black kind of speckles in it. Yeah, it's also a stone that's like, if you're into like stones and amethysts and stuff like that, I believe lapis is a powerful protection stone, which makes me think I need to take my lapis out because the world, oh my goodness. I got like an awesome lapis ring that.
Wait, recently or randomly?
No. I've had it for like years. I got it at my first film feature film premiere. I say it like
gave it to you?
Oh no, I wish. That would have been even better.
Wait, you were in a feature film?
Yeah, it was like, it wasn't it was independent. Like it was.
Did you have a speaking part?
Yeah.
Wait, what was it?
It was called Judas Kiss, and actually.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah,
I remember this now.
I did it up here, and then it was just. Yeah. Oh, why am I waiting to go to LA any longer? I was wanting to be in films anyway. Let me just like.
That was your inspiration?
Well, no, I'd wanted to go for.
But that was your. That was the kick you needed. Well,
because I like theater stuff started slowing down here, and plus I saw like I was never going to make enough money to do it as a living, and I didn't want to work multiple jobs forever. So.
And you were like, you know what? Let me not let me not do this for a living in LA.
Well, there was a chance though. Saying like, well, now there's more like theater acting, like film stuff up here too. But at that time, it was just like, let me, I got you. Something new, just gotta try.
We gotta do what we gotta do.
Yeah, you gotta go do what you gotta do when you gotta do it. Mm-hmm.
I've been reading some books about improv, like in the business world. And I'm surprised how many people actually have found, like, it feels like improv is an easier way into making money, like in corporate settings than stand up or just regular acting. Like people like, because you can do workshops, right? Or like people coach with it, or they keynote speak about it or whatever. It's kind of fascinating. Like the whole world is fascinated with improv.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's so easily applicable. I mean, obviously for like acting workshops and stand-up stuff like that, I think since we do all of that, we're going to see how it's applicable. But improv, you don't have to really, I don't feel like you have to talk too many people into how it's applicable in the workplace. It's like so instantly applicable, and like for anything in life.
I think it helps because it's a positive form of comedy, like where I think stand up is a negative. Stand up, everything about improv is yes and.
Right.
Things about stand up are like, you know what I don't like about that? Here's what I don't like. Like that's what feels like a lot of comedy stand up is.
Right.
And it appeals to people when it is a positive. So, and because you need that in business.
Agreed. And it's also just so collaborative. Like I don't find stand-up to be very collaborative. Like it's.
Oh no.
Exactly. So I mean, like yes, you can find good things out of it for, like you could tailor it for any anything as well in terms of, um, oh, you're building a highway. Let's find a way to make stand up help you with building your highway. I'm sure there's like certain tools that you could find from it. Um, but yeah,
So
with improv, it's so applicable.
that makes me think, though, like as a topic that we were going to discuss about community, right? We wanted to talk a little bit about community, and it's been interesting. I've been thinking a lot about, say, the stand-up community versus the improv community in town.
That just made me think of like a West Side Story Jets sort of like.
It should be. It would be the most out of shape
minus the murder
fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's weird, like, because we'll say the stand-up community, but it is very much like a golf game, right? Like stand-up is about achieving you're making yourself better each time. You might have a friend that you can help out a bit, like, hey, work together a little bit, but you are solo when you're performing. You're solo when you're practicing. It's an individual sport, where improv is a group sport. And I think that fosters itself to actually be more of a, I have made quicker friends in acting and theater than I ever have in stand up. And the friendships have lasted longer. More friendships have lasted longer in those collaborative communities than these solo ones, than the solo one, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, if you're rehearsing 30, 40 hours a week, however long it is, like you're with the same group of people, you're with them for more hours, you're on stage with them for the same hours.
Yeah.
And for me with stand-up, especially, with there being a lot of men doing it, I'm not like hanging out with them for hours. Really.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. I say most of them we have hung out, but normally it's related to work of some sort. So I don't know. I feel like this is a tangent now. I'm trying to get back, not you, but me. I went on a tangent.
What about community?
Stand up and why improv is more collaborative. I felt, though, I don't know. It's probably my introverted extrovert personality type that I felt just either scenario I would feel kind of uncomfortable, I think, because sometimes I feel like my energy can sometimes like even out a room in a way. Like it's like if I'm around somebody shy, I'm going to be a little bit more exuberant. Sometimes if I'm around like people who are super exuberant, I might get a little quieter depending on the situation. So sometimes in like improv, what I would have to work on is I would just have to like get out there sooner because I'm going to want to wait and see what's going on, which is more applicable to stand up where you're kind of like watching and then you write your joke. Where improv, it's like you just like jump in there. But people, that's like what's great about good teams. And this I think is why it's also very applicable to the workplace, because in some of my improv classes, like a lot of the guys, they would just like, you would have some people and they would all have their different styles. The ones that were like always jumping out, always out there, like right away. The ones who would be like a little bit more zany or physical comedy or whatever. And then the other ones who would be more, a little more thoughtful and slower to get out there. But you are going to get the best ideas when everybody can shift around and take their turns. So, of course, that's going to be really helpful for a team.
You don't just pull out a gun. Like Michael Scott.
Michael Scott. Yeah, totally. Yeah. The Office. Yeah. It was, and that's the thing is those people were still playing by the rules, but he wasn't. So sometimes when you're up against somebody who's not playing by the rules, maybe you need to switch up your rules just a little bit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you keep getting shot.
Yeah. That's the lesson.
That's the lesson. Thank you, Michael Scott.
Because like currently, I've talked to you about this offline about how I'm trying to get I'm trying to put elements of improv into soccer. Well, they're already there, but how to identify them and help the soccer community embrace these concepts of yes and adding on and finding the fun in the sport.
Agreed. Well, and I think that yes and sometimes can be construed a little bit too much as like, yes, we just say yes to everything. Yes, 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 yeah, crazy town, but it's like we are agreeing to the environment. And I think that's the thing that sometimes when you're not in an improv class or a strong improv team, is people are saying yes and to their idea, but not that person's idea. Like you're all in the boardroom and you're saying yes and to what is on your agenda. Have you agreed to the environment yet? And are you building on that? Are you jumping to a new idea too soon? And when do you know to keep on going onto the yes and yes and yes and of this idea, of the yes and yes and yes and of that idea, or that idea and how it all builds on the environment. But if you haven't agreed to the environment and the rules of the game, there's what are you even making? Like what's happening if you haven't agreed to the rules of the game? You're not
it's the boat even digging your feet in and not allowing things to change. I love that improv is always about allowing people to change and allowing yourself to change and to change your rules. Like, I think one place that I am misunderstood in life is I will stubbornly stay in the state that I'm in until presented with a new offer. No, this is what I believe to be true. If you present me with something else, I can be swayed over, but you need to have a little conviction behind it. You need to give me an offer. You can't just say no to me. If you just say no, well, I have nowhere to go with your idea. Or you don't have an idea. You just don't like mine. That was Alexander Hamilton's problem too.
Want to be in the room where it happens. Well, it wasn't him. He was in the room where it happened.
No, he's like, they don't have an idea. They just don't like mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I've listened to that musical a million times.
I got the rhyme wrong.
Times. Huh?
And I got the rhyme wrong somehow. But I think in this idea of community, like, I know I belong in a couple communities. I don't know that I belong in stand-up anymore, but I definitely am in the soccer community, filmish community, the film trying community.
Man, there's so many things that you're touching on that are important.
I touch a lot of things, I've been told.
Yeah, they're like that. Okay, so one thing I wanted to get back to was when you were saying that people feel that they can change in improv. Like that's one of the things you love about improv is it's okay for people to change, and how that ties into your life where when you're not just going to change willy-nilly, right? Like you. Yeah. So one thing I think is so important and huge about improv and why it is so helpful in work environments. By the way, you guys, if you're listening from you business people, you could hire us. We could come help you. Yeah. just saying, is what setting the rules of the game is you are safe to change an improv. You are safe to say yes. And I think a lot of times in certain corporate settings, people don't have that sense of safety. They don't have that sense of feeling like it's okay to add a new idea. It's okay to look at this a little bit differently, and once people have that sense of safety, they do feel like it's okay to change. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that, yeah, it makes sense. Why would we expect anybody to change their idea without giving them a reason to? You know? Like people need to have backbones, but they also need to have some flexibility.
Yeah, and be willing to accept an offer from you, or I'm going to present you with a new idea. Here's a new idea. Are you willing to listen to me, or are you going to say no? I think one of my greatest strengths is that I'm presented with a new philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
I will go into that philosophy. I will 100% take it in and start doing it the way they're presenting. If it doesn't work, I'll switch it up. But I will give it a real shot,
Mm-hmm.
because they've offered me this thing that I think is, that might be a good way of working and has some interest. Let me try it fully before I reject it. Or maybe I don't plan to reject it, but I'm going to embrace it fully. And that's gotten me to then really get behind a philosophy. Like for a philosophy as far as soccer, the way you coach soccer, the way you work with kids. It's got me in how you approach comedy and writing, what you need to do.
I think that's also part of a growth mindset, right? Like beginner's mind and growth mindset. If you have a growth mindset and you realize that, hey, you might feel like you know everything on a topic and realize there's always still more to learn. Like you glean some wisdom or some other great tool or trick from almost anything.
How do you feel like in a community? Like, I feel like when I really like communities when they have this, I guess, growth mindset of trying to improve it.
Mm-hmm.
I do value that, the people in them. What do you look for in a community?
Um, I think if I really feel like, oh, this is a community that I belong to, or this is part of my community, it does come with that feeling of safety and belonging. And I think the sense of safety and belonging, it doesn't mean we have to all be exactly the same, but it means that we need to be able to see each other's humanity and need to be able to be allowed to be vulnerable and honest, and not have things just be a superficial or surface level. You know, there was a community that I was trying to be a part of for a while, and in the past. And I remember being frustrated because I felt like I'd spent time showing up and I just wasn't really making connections with people. And it felt like, this isn't like, I just don't think it's a good fit. We don't have enough in common, or this, that, or the other thing. But what I realized later, um, because it did turn into like a pretty awesome community. And once it did, I kind of was reflecting back and it was like, oh, I wasn't showing up as my usual self. I wasn't letting myself be like vulnerable or show that, the parts of realness of myself, if that makes sense. Like I was showing up more as oh, this is how I need to be in this community. This is how I need to be to connect with other people. Not because I was being superficial, but I just didn't feel comfortable to have like a breath and be like, we're not being perfect, So I think sometimes what has kept me in the past from having community with people is they're just not my people. We're just not going to connect. And sometimes it's I'm not letting myself let my guard down to connect.
Is it authenticity? Do you think like you weren't being authentic?
Yeah, I think so. But it wasn't, but the reason why was, I suppose, like fear based of, or maybe prejudging of like, I can't really be authentic because we don't have enough in common for me to be authentic and them to understand it or get it, or there be enough understanding. Yeah.
Do you feel like the people in community are like friends? Are they friends of yours? Like, is that
In any time that I feel like I'm a part of a community?
well, yeah, like when you're a part of the community, like these are also my friends.
Yeah, I think if I really feel like I'm part of a community, I will have some level of friendship, but the extent to that, it varies. Like, I guess before, hmm,
Because I'm thinking of Mel Robbins. She's a speaker.
yeah.
She talks about the requirements for friendship.
Hmm.
Mel Robbins.
Yeah, they might remember that from last time too, or the time.
Did we talk about that?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
I talk about so many.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's a good
repeatedly. I repeatedly just start talking about the same.
It's an important thing. Like your requirements are proximity, energy,
energy, and something else.
I think it's usually like what stage of life you're in.
Yeah.
Like you need to be, if you're in close proximity to people, that obviously helps to, because you were talking about with your neighbor, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
On the podcast you were talking about it, or
yeah,
on the phone? I can't remember. But
so.
We're talking about that one way or the other. And then another one is like age. Like with work, you have proximity, but you might not have the stage of life you're in.
Yes. Okay.
And then also with, I think, energy. I think that might have been. Are they a positive person, and or do they even have energy to give into a friendship? Yeah. I can't remember, but
so I was just thinking about like in the community, like how it's hard to find. A lot of communities I think are of an interest, like
yes,
the nerd community, right? Oh, a nerd community, but that doesn't mean you're liking anything else other than being a nerd, right? So you have to find those people who are in the same stage of life as you, and maybe a way of connection with them. I think computers have helped us with proximity a little bit to make that a little smaller.
Right.
And I don't know where I'm.
I mean, I kind of almost think too, like if you think about like friendship as being, for lack of a better, I'm thinking about like piggy banks, and when I was younger, or my closest friends from college or whatever, that piggy bank is super full because you could put a coin in for, you have the same interest, you're the same age, you're in a similar phase of life. Maybe you have like the same beliefs of like, about politics or spirituality or, this, that, or relationships. And that bank can get like super, super full. But now I feel like, and that's how we would measure like, oh, how many friends do I have? That one is so full. That's a good friend. That's a good friend. It's just a visual. I don't actually think of people as piggy banks. That's ridiculous. It's just a visual. But now it's like what you're saying, where it's like, okay, we're both moms. Our kids are this age. And we like this show or something. And it's just, I feel like because proximity is working against us in so many ways, or maybe just the season of life I'm in right now. Oh my gosh, that's where the YouTube friendship comes in strong with these people, because the proximity is there. Like every week I can see they have a new video and it's about something I'm dealing with right now. We're interested in the same thing. We're around the same age. Like we would totally be friends if we were in the same place. And it's like, I feel like you get me. Like, we would so click if we were in the same place, but we probably wouldn't have any time to see each other. But
do you feel, what is it? Why do we?
Oh, and the other thing, there was a psychological study that was done years ago, where sometimes sometimes people feel like they have a relationship, or sometimes people get obsessed with stars or this or that, because the whites of your eyes on that big screen, how you're seeing somebody, you're usually only that close to people who are extremely close to you.
Oh.
So psychologically, you're seeing them, and you're seeing them on a regular basis. You're seeing them at your home where you're already let your guard down. You're in your pajamas. You're doing your private, like eating your combination of popcorn and Cheetos, or I don't know, whatever the heck you're doing that you're not doing out in public, and you're in such a vulnerable, safe spot for yourself. And you're allowing this person into your home on a regular basis where their face is all up in your face, almost because of, the actual size.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so psychologically, it does something to us.
That's fascinating. Why why do you think when we have our is our need of community a biological thing? Like
Like
to
humans,
survive, like we have to
absolutely.
find a community. Is it a striving for friendship, or is it community, or do you need?
I think there's both. I mean, humans were a tribal people, right? There's not a single person on earth that got here without the help of other humans. So
Yeah,
we weren't created to be alone, and biologically, physiologically, all of the ologies, like we do need other people. And I mean, I just think because the structure of society has changed so much that the way that we go about finding people is a little bit different. But that's all. There's also a reason why there is this epidemic of loneliness because we do need the village, as they say.
yeah. Do we need the village?
And also what it does to your body too, it's like when you're around your people, your cortisol levels drop, like your stress is mitigated, you actually live longer in the presence of other people. Fight and flight, when you're around safe people, you're
Yeah.
secure people, like it's so good on your body, and that's for a reason.
Well, that's interesting. When you think this might be me being crazy, but it does seem a little bit that when you are in a community and someone enters your community and you identify them as part of your community, you automatically get a trust in them that is probably not warranted.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I think that's accurate. I think part of that is probably what confirmation bias, and I
Oh, yeah,
part
yeah.
part of it is also, you know, I think that I kind of think it's the same thing. Like when you're at work, if you've been, if you've been working at a company where you had to badge in, and the security hoops that you had to go to in order to badge in. When you're walking down the hall or you're in your cubicle or your office or wherever you are, if you see somebody without a badge, it's like you shouldn't be in here. If you see somebody with a badge, you're like, oh, you're safe, you're cool. Yeah, I can sit
Yeah.
at the table and have coffee with you because you make all these assumptions because you know what it means to be there. You know,
I used to be so like almost betrayed when I'm doing theater and I discover somebody was like super conservative. And I'm like, what? Why are you here?
yeah,
Like, do you not get the messages
it's
of these
shocking
shows?
because also, yeah, because I think that if when I was first in theater, if that's what I was presented with, that's my assumptions about what other theater people would be like. But
Yeah.
that wasn't the case. So, but okay, actually, oh, okay. I don't know if we're gonna have time to talk fully about this, but I got to bring up because you said betrayal, and I was like, oh, that was one other thing I wanted to talk to about was betrayal trauma.
Mhm.
Um, there's this thing called betrayal trauma, where if somebody close to you has betrayed you, either through infidelity or some other kind of lying. Oh, and we talked about lying and cheating last time a little bit,
Yeah.
but I think that a lot of, okay, I was watching the news and one thing I want to talk about with the July 6th, was it? The pardons
Yeah. Yeah.
that there was, I was watching one of these police officers talking who he was injured and his attacker was like totally released, right? His attacker was
Yeah.
totally pardoned. And the police officer was saying how he felt really betrayed and he was a little bit choked up. And I was just thinking, not yesterday, but this morning, I don't know, it came to me again. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I think he's also experiencing betrayal trauma because you can experience it. My understanding is it doesn't have to just be like, oh, your husband cheated on you or wife or something like that. It can also be he has lived his life to this code and he's done it for
Yeah.
the country. And then, he was attacked while protecting the country. And then he feels like he was betrayed. And so it's a
Yeah.
traumatic experience, not just because of the physical attack, but now it's another traumatic experience because the safety that he believed and that should be his was taken away. And anyway, when you're talking about community, it's when you were saying feeling betrayed, these, and then how do you
froze out there for a second.
Oh, okay. So there's also an additional layer of like there's trust that's given into your community, and then when you're betrayed from your community, you can also experience betrayal trauma from that.
Okay.
I just find it really interesting, and I think that community is such a layered topic, but also when you are shunned from a community or you're betrayed by a community, what does that mean? How do you go and rebuild and get another community? Because we can't live without community in a healthy fashion.
Yeah. I remember when my ex and I broke up, you know, typically when a partner decides on the breakup, they will exit the community as well. Particularly if actions they took were kind of a, sometimes you betray your partner, you've betrayed their friends too. The friends feel betrayed, right? So they step out. But my ex didn't leave the community. She didn't want to leave the community. And so I had this awkwardness of, but you're supposed to. Like, that's not, but this is my community. But then my community is embracing them. Like, it's not, you're not feeling betrayed like I was. Oh, so maybe you're not my community.
Oh, man.
And then I had a hard time hanging out with them because I'm like, they didn't really have my back when it came to things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
so double birds to them, and I don't mean the doves.
It's, it I know it's complicated. Life is complicated, right? But and it ended up, a lot of it ended up feeling too like over the years, I've been more with that community still. And they've drifted away from a lot of it. And like only like hang on to some of them because they're like, oh, they've been friends so long, but they're not really in it as much, right? And it's just always been like, why did you just tried to hang on to this when that was the community I needed at the time to support me, and then it just ruined it all. Like, so I had to go find a new community, which ended up being more of the stand up and I don't know, swing dancing.
Oh, swing dancing? I miss swing dancing. I wanted it to like come back, but not like I'm trying so hard not to say.
Wait, did you Lindy Hop?
It's so funny because I don't actually know like all of the names of all the swing dancing stuff, but in high school I was quite good in it, and like people could actually like swing me around their back, and like you do the thing like under their legs where you jump up like through their like you like slide and you like jump up.
How did I not know this about you?
I don't know, but like
I was a teacher.
Oh man, that swing dancing, it's so fun. But the reason why I'm like, I didn't want it to come back fully because it makes me think of the movie Swing Kids, which I loved, which was devastating and beautiful. Mm-hmm. But yeah, just the dancing part of Swing Kids. Okay, that's the only.
There's other fun parts of.
That's the only part of Swing Kids.
There was swing dancing beyond World War II.
Oh no,
so you know.
True. Yeah. I mean, and certainly when I was dancing, it was just the fun, wholesome, we love everybody part. So yeah.
That was another community I was in, the ballroom dance community.
Oh, fun.
College of, all these. Then that was the only area, and I guess the people who became the friends are the ones who share that and something else, right? Like we had to have a couple things,
right?
To really be friends.
A couple things. Oh, I read something the other day that, I think I was looking up after we talked, how many friends the average person has within certain age groups and things. And I think it's maybe between 4 and 5 or something, and I think it's 3 to 5, like close friends. But within, I think it's about 7 years, if you keep a friend for, I think it's 7 years, you'll have the friend for your lifetime, is what studies say. But typically people will get a whole new group of friends like every 7 years. And I'm wondering,
like a whole new group?
I think it's like a whole new group of friends. I read it was like something like 7 years is the average span for keeping your friends, unless if they're going to be friends for a lifetime. But isn't that how often our bodies are like?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah, your all of your cells in your body have changed after 7 years.
Yeah. And so it's like interesting that you are
a different person every 7 years.
Yeah, you're a different person and you have different friends because of that. Pretty cool.
Did you know that's a reason you should get your allergies tested again? Because after 7 years, you might not be allergic to something that you were.
That's interesting.
And you could become allergic to something, right? Because your body's changed.
That makes sense. I figured it was just like the pesticides and stuff that was making people become.
Oh yeah, that's killing us all. But besides from that, yeah, you can. That's why you can develop allergies. Partly is you've changed literally as a person, or lose them. That's how you lose allergies. Some people just you build. I mean, I guess you build tolerances up and everything, and it's. I don't know. I've been thinking about community a lot. I was told I was a good community builder because of things that I do. And I'm just like, I just think I like hosting parties.
You seem to be. I mean, you seem to be really great at it. And it's something that I'm aware of and working on for the last couple of years. I became aware of it. I think part of it is because before I was just naturally involved in so many different communities. I didn't think about it. Because it was just part of my life. And then when it kind of went missing a bit, it was like, oh, I miss this. Like, how do I get this to happen a little bit more often? And too, like in an authentic way, like there's certain things like I'm just, I think that's probably why these YouTube moms are so great. Because part of my community, it's like cat loving book readers who love to be at home. So there's a really big reason to get me not to be cozy at home in my sweaters with my warm drinks and my soft blankets and all my comforts at home. Like it just doesn't. Okay, I remember a long time ago. I was briefly dating this guy who was acting like, because I've loved these nice cozy things for like forever, but like he was like acting like I was the biggest loser because like doing like I said, that did not last long. But he wanted to do all of these things that are stereotypically exciting. Like he like skydiving and these like high adrenaline things, which for me, I'm like, oh, that sounds so boring. Like there's nothing interesting about that to me. Like 90% of the time, just not interested. And he was like acting like I'd never lived. And I'm just like, and you're acting like you want to die.
So basic.
You're just like not interesting. I started rewatching the Mindy Project. It's several years old, and I don't have that many series I rewatch, but I was like, I think I'm in the mood to watch this again. And I feel like I'm probably the perfect combination between Mindy and Danny Castellano, because she's very like, oh, rom-com and oh, fun, and I'm a girl and I know things and I'm a doctor and I like to design my home and hang with my best friends. But then he's a little curmudgeon-y. Like,
is it does it feel dated already, or?
I think I might be enjoying it just as much as the first time. I haven't noticed it seeming very dated right now, other than like, not yet. I'm not that far in. I'm not that far into it, but like, I just find it delightful if you just want like something fun to watch that's not.
I don't know that I've seen one episode of that, so I might need to check it out.
I would be surprised. I would be curious to hear what you thought. Like if you like Harry Met Sally and you also like, if you like Harry Met Sally and Clueless, you're probably going to enjoy this.
It's been a while since Clueless, but I think I remember liking it. But
I mean, Paul Rudd looks the same, so it's pretty hard to tell how.
Paul Rudd, he is the same. He is in the multiverse. He's just popping in everywhere. It's the same Paul. I think there's a new Paul Rudd cloned every year. That's my theory. It's a working theory.
Well, it seems to be a good clone from what I know of him. I mean,
and he's in a movie about.
I walked up and I was like, Paul? Paul, I noticed you by your clogs.
You're a lot taller now. But, last time I saw you, you were an ant.
Yeah.
Right?
Man.
Ant-Man. Hey, you are, I mean, you're at about, you're out of time.
Yeah.
You got to get going.
I actually do today. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll pick this up next week when we talk more about how to better our lives through random acts of walking up to celebrities and pretending they know them.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
And if you guys heard anything in here you really wanted to talk more about or other topics of improv in your life and what to say to celebrities, let us know.
All right, Black and a Half.